Hey friends, happy Wednesday. So it's a really gross, rainy Wednesday over here. So October the 1st is coming up in just a few days, which is hardly believable, but anyway, it is. And so we are 90-ish days until the end of this year. So I was thinking about, for me, I love the end of the year. I'm a huge goal setter. I do start the beginning of the year, full of intention for the year, like most everybody does. But honestly, almost everyone falls off the wagon, so to speak, with all their goals by the end of the year. I have learned a few tips and tricks over the years with goal setting that I'm going to share with you guys. There always is a lull, but I love the end of the year. I love looking back to see, okay, what did I write down that I wanted out of this year? And what do I need to do to stay on track for those things and end the year with more intention than I started the year? So, make it happen, right? So that idea, we're coming into the end of the year, I'm hoping that some of these things can help you guys. These are things that I do personally in my life every day for the last few years, honestly. And they're things that I learned, trial and error, what works for me. Like I said, I'm a big goal setter, so I'm that's my personality. But even if you're not, if you have literally come up to every year and said, I want to, whatever it is, I want to eat healthier this year, or I'm going to exercise this year, or whatever, and you got to the end of that year and it didn't happen, then hopefully this video will help you. So one of the things that first, and this is especially for mamas, I'm sure this is applicable for dads, but I know for me, when my guys were little, when my babies were little, and actually right now too. So I created them when they were little. We had our routines, like bedtime routine, nap time routine, all that good stuff. So they knew, what they could count on. We had our morning routine that we did every morning, and it was just like our way of, opening up the day. And so, and it is, I said when they were little, but we totally still do it now. And it was so funny because by about baby number 3, I think, our routines were so established. Like literally Clara from day 1 fell right into that routine. She like, I think she was born like late in the day. And I mean, she did the bedtime routine with us and then, went to sleep and woke up the next morning and she did the morning time routine. So like literally every day of her life, she has done, those routines that were honestly like the pillars within our day that we could count on. So I'm not really a big schedule person, but I am very much about routine. And so anyway, I had created all these wonderful routines for my kiddos, and especially around sleep, so that their bodies were relaxed and heading into sleep and all that. And of course, I neglected all of that for myself, like, every mom does. So when I was really struggling in multiple areas in my health and just wanted to get things on track better, I wanted more consistency, I wanted better results in the things that I was working towards, I thought like, I don't have like specific routines for myself like I do for my kids. So quite a few years ago, I did that. Just like with my kids, I built myself a bedtime routine. I built myself a morning time routine and an afternoon routine to make sure that I was getting all of the pieces in that I wanted to be part of my day. Drinking water, getting a good night's sleep, eating healthy, taking my supplements or whatever, and, moving my body, all those things. Like I wanted to make sure that those were part of my day. So what I did was I created routines, and I had those things built in. I wanted them to become automatic. I did not want to have to think about it. I did not want to have to do the I don't want to, drink water today, or I don't want to move my body today, or whatever it is. I just wanted them to be super automatic. So The one thing I can say about when you're creating routines is you need a lot of reminders in the beginning, because it's not going to be automatic, and it's super easy to just, let it go after you've worked on it for a little bit. But the longer that you do it, the easier it is, and it just becomes part of what you do. So I use my phone, alarms on my phone, and sticky notes on my bathroom mirror or whatever, just to help me stay on track as I'm, trying to create those things to become automatic for me. So my very first tip for you guys in really creating sustainable changes, and by sustainable I mean you're not going to do it this week and next week and then not do it anymore. You really want to change something like eating healthy or something like that. So you're going to want that to stay. You don't want to work on eating healthy for 3 weeks and then not eat healthy anymore for the rest of the year, like pretty much everybody does at the beginning of the year. So creating those routines in your life will give you that sustainability. So that's what it has done for me. Now, I started with sleep. If you're like, okay, that sounds all great and everything, but I have multiple things I need to change, where do I start? The other thing that I recommend, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a second, but don't do everything all at once, okay? You want to create sustainable changes, small sustainable changes. So think of it as long term. Your health is something that is very dynamic. It's not static. It's going to change all throughout your life. Your health needs are going to change all throughout your life. The things, like I said, your body needs, also the things you need spiritually, the things you need emotionally, you're going to have all different ups and downs. So your health is very dynamic. And so you want to create routines that can flow with your life and change as they need to. But you also want to do small changes over time. And then that way you're looking at long term. Okay. So that's why I say, don't do everything all at once. Like next week, don't decide I have 90 days left for the end of the year. I'm going to eat healthy, exercise every day, drink my water and whatever, all those things, that you wished you had done at the beginning of the year. Even though you do need to be doing all those things, but start slowly. Okay. So what I started with was sleep. So for me, honestly, what I believe is if you are not getting good quality sleep, then it's hard to do anything else. It's really hard to focus on, let's say you're trying to have a practice where you're reading your Bible every morning. Okay. Well, if you're exhausted, you're not likely to get up and do that. If you are wanting to exercise every day, if you're exhausted, you're not likely wanting to do that either. If you're wanting to eat healthier, if you're exhausted, your body is going to crave things that are going to give you quick energy, which is sugars, simple sugars. So it's going to be really difficult to have the willpower to eat healthy. So for me, I started with sleep, and I had really struggled with sleep. I mean, I have 5 babies, so I had pretty much had sleepless nights for, 15 years. My hormones needed to be balanced. That's a big player in the sleep routine, or the sleep cycles. I just stress, like everything had played into me having a really difficult time falling asleep. And then I had a really difficult time staying asleep, and I never woke up feeling rested. So that is the place I started when I was building these routines for myself. So I built a bedtime routine. I'm saying built, I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking about my grandpa when I'm saying built. I don't know. He was construction, and he always says build a sandwich. I know that's totally random, but every time I say built, I'm thinking like, oh, I love my grandpa. So anyway, he builds a sandwich, and I built the routines. So I built these routines for myself for sleep, and I am so I have to do my bedtime routine. But the steps of my bedtime routine lead my body to know that I'm about to lay down in the bed and I'm about to fall asleep. So by the time I actually get into the bed, I read for a few minutes, and then I fall asleep. And I love essential oils to support me in getting a good night's sleep. That has been really critical. But also just piecing together the steps, just like you did for your little ones. You know, you like gave them a bath, you know, put their lotion on or whatever, the lights were turned down low, you changed them into your jammies and they fell asleep, you know. So it's the same for us. Our bodies need those triggers to tell us it's almost time to go to sleep. So I plan to do another video all about sleep, but just know if you're like overwhelmed with making changes and you're not getting a good night's sleep, I highly recommend delving into that, the reason for that first. So what I did was I did this whole sleep, you know, bedtime routine. While I was doing that, well, let me say one thing first, and this is just in regards to, you know, if you're trying to make other changes but you're not getting a good night's sleep, think about when you go to bed at night and you forget to charge your phone battery. You get up the next morning and, you know, by 10 o'clock your phone is dead. That is exactly what a good night's sleep is going to do for you. You cannot wake up and expect to be productive, patient, kind, make good choices or any of those things if you're not getting a good night's sleep. So that's why I say to start there. The other thing though that I was going to say was honestly, I really felt like I had just this awesome word from the Lord about this. So as I was building these routines, and some of this happened as I had lots of little ones and I was trying to get our life, you know, not as chaotic. I was reading through Genesis in the Bible. You can go look at it yourself if you want to. But the language in the very beginning of the Bible, when he's talking about creating the world, he talks about that there's evening and there's morning. And then he'll say, and then on the fourth day, whatever, you know, created. And then there was evening and then there was morning. And then on the fifth day, and then there was evening and there was morning. So what I noticed about that was that he always said there was evening first. So probably since my babies were, I don't even know. I had 3 babies and I started doing this routine thing, building routines in our life. I started with the evening. I just took that from scripture. Just that was just something, you know, God knew I needed to hear. And so our whole lives have revolved around that idea since then. So I take the evening and that is the beginning of my day for the next day. So there was evening, there was morning, okay? So what I'm doing with that when I was building my routines and even now, everything about my next day is influenced by the night before. So if we have somewhere to go, you know, we do things like lay out clothes or whatever. I know what my meals are going to be the next day. I will a lot of times lay out. I do this pretty much every day. At night before I go to bed, I lay out the bottles of vitamins that they're going to get the next morning or whatever oils I'm going to diffuse. Those are laid out too. So like when I get up, if I'm going to exercise that morning, my workout clothes are laid out. So part of my routine, part of my bedtime routine is setting myself up for the next day. Okay. And that has been absolutely critical for me in establishing really healthy routines and being able to do them without thinking about them. So that idea that you're starting your day the night before. So I hope that helps somebody. And then, you know, going into a really great sleep routine. So you're getting a good night's sleep, you're rested, and you're ready for the next day. But that way you can just get up and you're ready to go. And you don't have to anticipate, like, after you get up, well, am I going to work out today? Or, you know, what are we going to eat for breakfast or whatever? Like, everything is already lined out so that you know what's going to happen and you're being intentional about those habits happening right away. Okay. So that's my number one really is creating great routines that you're setting yourself up for success and for your kiddos too. Okay. The next thing was, focusing on the outcome of the task. Okay. So this is, or not the task. This is a really big deal for me. So very few people, I think, actually want to work out, or very few people like want to meal prep. So as you know, as much as I talk about meal prep, most weeks I don't want to do it, you know. But what I do is I focus on the long term or the outcome. So when I set a goal for moving my body every day or getting stronger, The reason for that goal is because, and I write this down because I'm really big about writing things down. The reason for that goal, though, is not because my body will look amazing. I mean, that would be great too. But the goal I wrote down is I want to be able to play, not just sit and watch. I want to be able to play with my great grandkids. That's my goal. So then I worked backwards from there to say, okay, I'm 41 years old. If I'm going to run and play or, walk and play with my great grandkids, then I need to be moving my body every single day right now, because I can't decide when I'm 60 that I want to get stronger and move my body and hope that, all those years I haven't done it, that's not going to matter, because it is going to matter. So the goal I wrote down at the beginning of this year, just like the same one I wrote down every year for the last few years, is I want my body to be stronger so I can play with my great grandkids. Okay. So you really want to begin with the end in mind. There's a lot of things, in my life, the way my goals are, that I'm thinking about, on my 85th birthday, what do I want my life to look like? And then that's how I establish my goals for right now. So it has to be meaningful for me to stick to it. And it has to have a bigger picture for me. And that's the way that my brain works. But to me, it's very hard for me to say, okay, I just want to go work out today. I have to have something behind it. I want to play with my kids now, and I want to play with my grandkids, and I want to play with my great grandkids. So that's how I motivate myself. So the other one is you have to, and it's more results driven than focusing on the task. So like meal prep, for example. I do that every Sunday. I pretty much never want to do it. I still do it every Sunday. But what I do is, everybody's like sitting around relaxing or whatever, and I'm like, I do not want to get up, and go to the grocery store and get my meal prep done. And you're like, ah. But what I do in my mind, I take just a second and I remember what it felt like all the week before to have all my meals lined out, prepped, and ready. Zero stress in terms of food. No last minute, we got to go out to eat and spend $100 because I didn't prep the meals, or I don't have anything ready and everybody's starving. I hate that feeling. And that feeling is more powerful than the feeling of, not wanting to go to the grocery store or not wanting to get the meal prep done. So all I do when I feel resistance for something that I know is going to set me up for more success during the week in terms of my health, if I feel resistance, I think for a second about the result, and I just try to take myself there, in my imagination, just for a second to say, okay, I'm going to get this done, because I know what it felt like this past week to be totally on top of our food, and I don't want to feel any other way. So I hope that helps somebody, because that's a big, big thing for me. The other thing that I do is, so I have my routines established. I've got my, my bedtime routine, my morning routine, and a little afternoon, just kind of routine. It's not as big of a deal, but if I'm trying to start something new, like, I don't know, let's just say, for example, exercise, or drinking water, that's a good one. If you're trying to drink more water and you already have a part of your day that's established, something that you do all the time without thinking about it, I find it's easiest to attach the new habit to the old habits, okay? So something easy for water, like I get up first thing in the morning and I drink a full glass of water. And so, attaching a glass of water to meal times is super simple to do. Or let's say, you get up every morning and you read your Bible, or you meditate or whatever. So having a glass set out by your space where you're going to read your Bible or sit and meditate, to set yourself up for success, but attaching that, like I always sit and have a glass of water while I drink my Bible, or while I drink my water while I read my Bible. So attaching two habits together is super effective for me. And anytime I'm trying to add something new. So that way, I've already got these kind of pillars to my day, and I do those without thinking about them, so I can really easily attach something else. And I put out a physical reminder of some kind, like I said, putting the glass of water or putting the glass on the countertop, you know, to visually remind you. If you're taking a supplement, like you need to take a supplement and you're not in the habit of taking supplements, do not put them up in your cabinet. You will never remember to do it if you're not in the habit of already doing it. Pull them out and put them on your, you know, nightstand if it's a nighttime supplement. Put them on your, you know, by your sink if it's a morning and you're going to be brushing your teeth right there. So attaching habits to each other, especially when you already have something that you do without thinking about it. That is super helpful for me. And then the other thing that I mentioned earlier is slow and sustainable. You know, we all want it all to happen like right now. You know, we want our body to be in great physical shape. We want to be like emotionally healthy. We want to do all the things, you know. But I actually heard a funny quote this morning, and it was about, you know, we want the like fit body without having to break down the muscles and build new ones. And it's like without the work, you know, we all want that. That's just the way it is, but that is not going to happen. So, slow and sustainable. You want to incorporate 1 or 2 things at a time. Thank you, Christy. You want to incorporate 1 or 2 things at a time and get those down before you add something else new in. I know a couple of friends that at the beginning of the year, they said, we're going to totally clean up our lives. We're going to get all the toxins out of our home. We're going to eat better. We're going to change up our skincare, you know, all of that. And they just did one thing at a time. You know, 1 month they changed over their toothpaste. 1 month they changed over their deodorant. You know, 1 month they started eating healthy breakfast. You know, you don't even have to do healthy food all at one time. You can just say, you know what, our habit for September is that we are going to eat a healthy breakfast every day for the month of September. And that's amazing. And just really like encourage and reward yourself, you know, not with food, but with good food, but, you know, do all the things like you would do for your kiddos if they were working towards a goal. And just really have fun with it and have a buddy that you can work with together and encourage each other. So those are the things that I find work really, really well for me. And honestly, I do a ton of stuff for my health that if I listed it all out, you'd be like, wow. I mean, I would be wow. But it has become so routine, and it's a process of 20 years. I mean, honestly, 20 years of me making changes, educating myself, learning new things, incorporating it into my life, and making, you know, that happen over a long term. So anyway, that is my video for today. I hope that helps somebody. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.